Hey everybody, Vestmore here, and today we're taking another look at Final Fantasy VII Remake.
These sewer rats appear to call themselves Avalanche, sir.
You can have it, for saving my life.
As anticipated, we got an absolute ton of information about the game at E3 this week. More specifically, we got our first real in-depth look at the combat system. However, there were some features that were glossed over, so I figured today I'd bring you guys a quick little video just explaining Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat system. If you enjoyed this video, do be sure to leave a like, and let me know in the comments down below what you're looking forward to the most with Final Fantasy VII Remake. I just want to beat people up with Tifa, to be honest.
My turn.
You're not real. You're...
Cloud, I have a favor to ask of you. Run away. You have to leave. You have to live.
You bastard! Yeah!
Hold on to that hatred.
Right then. As speculated, combat is going to be a hybrid of real-time action and the old Atb system. The devs themselves have described the combat as a mix of real-time action and strategic command-based combat. The basic premise is as follows. Characters can perform basic attacks, block, and dodge in real time. You can also target specific enemies by locking on. Basic attacks do minor damage to enemies, with their main purpose being to fill the brand new Atb gauges, but we'll get to that in a sec. You can switch between the different characters in your party in the heat of battle, making use of their unique abilities. Character basic attacks can also vary from character to character. In the case of Cloud, he swings around his Buster Sword, which is limited to a melee range, whereas Barrett can target enemies at a much greater range, using that iconic gun arm. As I mentioned before though, these can only do so much, which is where the revamped Atb system comes into play. Each character has 2 Atb gauges present in the character frames at the bottom right corner of the screen. For those of you who have never played Final Fantasy VII, these are a throwback to the Active Time Battle System, or Atb for short. The idea was that you could give a character a command, and then once their Atb gauge was full, they would execute it. This has been revamped for the remake, but before you can use the new Atb system, you must first charge the gauges. These gauges fill up slowly over time, but they can be charged much faster by landing successful basic attacks. Basic attacks actually fill the gauges pretty quickly, so players are encouraged to use the Atb commands as much as possible, instead of holding on to their charges. Once you've charged at least one Atb gauge, you can then activate the brand new Tactical Mode. Tactical Mode essentially slows the gameplay to a halt, allowing you to assess the battlefield and utilize Atb commands, in a similar vein to the Mass Effect games. From here you can give your party multiple commands, such as using special abilities, casting spells, and using items. Each of these actions use up an Atb gauge to do, but allow you to do much more potent and damaging attacks, as well as using healing and utility items. Now, if you watched our other video, you might remember me saying that one of the more polarizing aspects of the remake was the combat, and that some people wanted action-based combat and some wanted the original Atb system. For those who wanted a more action-based experience, they can forego tactical mode altogether and map these different commands to shortcuts, allowing them to use their more potent abilities without pausing the action. Anyway, let's take a closer look at the Atb commands revealed thus far. Each character has access to special abilities that use up an Atb charge. Cloud has access to moves such as Braver, Focus Thrust, and Triple Slash, all of which do significantly more damage than his basic attacks. Barrett has access to his own unique set of abilities, and thus far we've seen Focus Shot and Steel Skin. In the case of magic, it's confirmed that you're going to have to equip materia in order to gain access to different spells, much like the old game. For the uninitiated, materia are essentially equipable items that can give characters brand new abilities like magic and summons, as well as boost character stats. It's unclear how the new materia system will work exactly, but it is clear that at least magic materia are returning, and they will grant characters a wide range of spells to use in combat. So with the right materia equipped, characters can cast different spells to damage enemies, aid allies, and dish out devastating status effects. In addition to spending an ATB gauge, spells are unique in that they also require MP or magic points in order to cast them. Characters also have access to limit breaks. Limit breaks are devastating super abilities that fans of the franchise will certainly be familiar with, and they can only be performed once the limit gauge has been filled. Much like in the original, your limit gauge fills whenever you take damage. From what we saw in the demonstration, Cloud has access to his Cross Slash, an iconic move consisting of several rapid sword strikes that spell out the Bane kanji. Barrett has access to a brand new limit break known as Fire in the Hole, which allows him to fire a large charged up blast from his gun arm. One thing that wasn't explained during the presentation were the commands that were mapped to Triangle. These seem to be unique to each character, with Cloud having Punisher mode, Barrett having a feature known as Overcharge, Tifa having something called Bash, and Aerith, who had Tempest. We did get a look at the first two in the E3 playable demo, however. Punisher mode on Cloud is actually a stance change. By default, Cloud is in a stance known as Operator mode, allowing for a balanced mix of speed and damage. Punisher mode sacrifices some of Cloud's speed for much more damaging attacks. Barrett's Overcharge ability allows him to shoot off a volley of powerful blasts as opposed to his usual rapid fire basic attacks. Enemies themselves will have abilities that you're going to have to watch out for. And there's even some attacks that are too powerful to be blocked, so you're going to have to make use of the environment to avoid them. Some enemies and bosses will have weak points that you're going to have to target in order to deal damage to them, as is the case of the Scorpion Sentinel boss we saw in the showcase. Enemies also have something known as a focus gauge, which will build up as you deal damage to them. Once the focus gauge is full, enemies will enter a staggered state, which makes your attacks do bonus damage. But that's pretty much the general flow of combat. Battle enemies in real time while switching between the different members in your party, make use of basic attacks while blocking and evading incoming damage. Once you or a party member has an ATB charge, utilize tactical mode or shortcuts to unleash more devastating abilities on your enemies, and buff/heal yourself as necessary. Take advantage of the bonus damage you get from staggering enemies, and once you've taken enough damage yourself, utilize your powerful limit break abilities to finish off enemies. If you found this helpful, do be sure to leave a like, and keep it locked to our channel for more Final Fantasy VII Remake content. This is Vest, signing off.
I really hope you guys enjoyed that video. Remember to hit that subscribe button and also click on the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you don't miss my next upload. Also, don't forget you can check out TwoSixNine and Paradise Central streaming over on Twitch 6 days a week. You can find a link to the multi-stream in the description box down below. Be sure to drop by and get involved. Thanks again for watching, take it easy, catch you next time, peace out.